Chapter 13, Back to Camp. Oh, okay, well, I guess I should tell you who I am. My name is C.L. Creech. I am the author, creator, and publisher of a book called One Last Quest. If you'd like to buy the book, you can purchase it down below. Otherwise, follow along. I hope you read or followed along through the first 12 chapters. We're getting into chapter 13 now, which is Back to Camp. So let's get to it. It was rare that Rick got to enjoy the morning anymore. On a normal day, he was always rushing from the time he got up in the morning until the time he went to bed at night. He had to fix breakfast, he had to get the kids ready for school, he had to make sure his wife's coffee was just right. He loved his family and he loved doing things for them, but it was nice to get away for a couple of days. It was nice to relax and enjoy the simple things in life. Rick was bent down next to the fire, finishing up breakfast when he heard Jackie walking down the trail towards the camp. Michelle and Kelly were close behind, carrying Danny. Michelle had a firm grip on Danny's torso, while Kelly reluctantly carried his legs. Rick rushed to help. Jackie didn't get to have fun with Michelle, or didn't get to have the fun with Michelle and Kelly that she wanted to, but she understood, as they were more concerned about Danny. Jackie wanted to leave them there to rest for a bit. Jackie wanted to leave him there to rest for a bit, but Michelle was in a panic, wanting to get her friend back to camp as soon as possible. What happened? He okay? Rick asked in a panic as he rushed over. Kelly rolled her eyes as she saw Rick. Kelly, like Jackie, wanted to leave Danny behind, but Michelle refused. He's fine, Kelly exclaimed. Kelly then noticed the breakfast Rick was cooking. After the morning they had, she was famished and ready to eat. Ooh, breakfast, Kelly said excitedly as she dropped Danny's legs. Rick rushed over to help Michelle carry Danny over to the fire. I see birds, Danny said groggily as Michelle slowly lowered his torso to the ground. Rick propped Danny's legs up on a nearby log, hoping to get some blood flow to his head. He thought this would help Danny regain his senses. Birds? Rick asked. Michelle thought she should explain what happened. Yeah, well, Jackie walked up behind Michelle, putting her hand on her shoulder. She shook her head to silently let Michelle know that she would explain. Michelle and Kelly were skinny dipping, Jackie said matter-of-factly. Danny was being a peeping Tom and got a bit pervy, so Kelly hit him with a rock, and I'm guessing that's where I guess there was a bird around somewhere. Kelly and Michelle looked at each other, wondering how Jackie figured out what really happened. They hadn't told her. The only thing they said was the bird story they'd told her earlier. Jackie, being an excellent police officer, didn't find it too difficult to put the pieces together and figure out the real story. What? Rick asked, visibly confused. Never mind, he'll be fine. What's for breakfast, Jackie asked, as she and Kelly walked over toward the fire. Rick was still very confused. He kept looking, he looked between them, kept looking around at everyone as he tried to piece together what had happened. When he looked at Michelle, he just smiled and shrugged, not knowing what else to say. I made some, Rick said, trying to figure out his words. Bacon, sausage, gravy, and coffee. Oh, and I grilled some mushrooms and peppers and onions, for you, Kelly. Kelly was thrilled that Rick made a special breakfast for him. It can be hard being a vegetarian sometimes, and it made her feel, good when someone went out of their way to respect her beliefs. Thank you, Kelly said with a smile. Jackie, like Kelly, was very hungry and ready to eat. Sounds good, let's all dig in, Jackie exclaimed as she passed plates to Kelly and Michelle. Rick, who was still concerned about Danny, began to ask, well, what about... He'll be fine, Jackie interjected. Just a very mild concussion. Or two. He's probably used to feeling that way by now. He just needs an ice pack and a little rest. Rick sighed as he walked to the van to retrieve an ice pack from the first aid kit. As a parent, he had a natural instinct to take care of Danny. But as a friend, he also knew Danny probably deserved what he got. He cared about everyone in the group, but he'd known Danny long enough to know that he was probably doing something he shouldn't have. Kelly was more concerned about their plans for the day. They had a lot of fun yesterday, and she was hoping today would be just as fun. So, Game Master, what are our quests for today? Kelly asked as she spooned food on her plate. Michelle thought for a moment. Since she didn't plan the trip, she hadn't given much thought for the day's activities. Well, first I thought we should have breakfast, Michelle said with a smile. Jackie and Kelly couldn't help but smile at Michelle, stating the obvious. Smartass, Jackie interjected with a laugh. Okay, we're already on that quest, Kelly said in a sarcastic tone. What about after breakfast? Michelle thought for a moment before answering. She thought about what they talked about the day before. She knew there were a few things they could do. She tried to think of something fun and useful. Rick said he bought an inflatable raft. Sorry. Rick said he thought he bought an can't talk. Rick said he brought an inflatable raft. How about we do some fishing? Michelle asked thoughtfully. Fish would be great for dinner, Jackie said matter-of-factly. Rick agreed, however, there was a small problem with the plan. It's only a two-person raft, Rick said while kneeling and placing an ice pack on Danny's head. Okay, so should we roll to see who goes? Michelle felt rolling was the only fair way to decide who got to go. It would be random, so there would be no cheating. Danny lifted his head and looked around for a moment before saying, I get hit in the head. Rick loved the thought of fishing, but he was more concerned about Danny at the moment. He felt an overwhelming need to help the group's healer. I know you did, buddy, Rick said to Danny as he eased his head back to the ground. Jackie disagreed with the idea to roll. She had her own ideas about who should stay and who should go. Somebody has to stay with Danny, she said as she began to eat. I say that since Kelly hit him, she should have to stay. I agree, Rick said. Kelly still couldn't figure out how Jackie knew she was the one who hit Danny. She also didn't think it was fair that she was getting singled out. If I stay, someone better stay too. Kelly exclaimed very loudly. I'm not staying with him by myself. It's a two-person raft. Someone else will have to stay. She's right. We have to make sure whoever else stays can look after Danny, otherwise she might kill him, Michelle asked. Rick, Jackie, and Michelle looked at each other for a moment. It's almost as if they were having a silent conversation between the three of them. Wouldn't make much sense for Michelle to stay as she didn't have first aid training, so the choice was between Rick and Jackie. I'll stay, Rick said after thinking for a moment. You two go. Besides, I've got an idea for lunch. There's a couple of apple trees along the trail we drove in on. Kelly can pick some for me, and I'll take care of Danny. Kelly loved picking apples, so she thought it was a great idea. She could spend some time in nature, not have to look at Danny. Are you sure? Of course. I love to cook. Plus, I have the highest healing bonus besides our healer, of course, Danny said with a smile. Rick was referring to their in-game stats. Healing was a character stat. Of course, Danny, the healer of the group, had the highest score in the stat. Rick, as a wizard, made sure to have a decent score in that stat so he could help out as needed. Plus, Rick spent years patching up scraped knees and taking care of sick kids. It was the only thing that made sense in his mind. He was the obvious choice to stay. Jackie and Michelle both nodded in agreement. They both knew that Rick was the best person to take care of Danny. Plus, if Kelly decided to start throwing rocks again, he was the best one to handle the situation. Michelle and Jackie both finished their breakfast before blowing up the raft and retrieving their fishing gear. Michelle couldn't help but think that this would be the most interesting fishing trip she'd ever been on. Well, guys, that is the end of, chapter 13? God, we're getting through this book quick, aren't we? I know this was another fast chapter. Most of these are pretty short chapters. As I wanted this story to flow pretty quickly. I do know I made some mistakes in the typings. Those are some that I'm going to have to go back and edit for future edits. If you'd like to help me out with that, email me below. Guys, I hope you're loving my story so far. I'm loving telling it, and I will talk to you guys soon. Tomorrow. Back for chapter 14. See you soon. Bye-bye.